Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm going to be talking to you about the AIP diet. Before we get started, just so you know, I am not a doctor or a nutritionist, so before you make any diet or lifestyle changes, please consult with a qualified health professional. So why am I talking to you about this today? If you haven't been following along, I was diagnosed with a rare endocrine disorder 2 years ago called primary ovarian insufficiency. It's a disorder that affects the function of the ovaries and causes me to produce much lower levels of certain hormones than what my body needs. When I was diagnosed, and if you have primary ovarian insufficiency, you'll know that traditional medicine doesn't give you a whole lot of options for your personal health. I was unsatisfied with the options that they were giving me, and I also just couldn't accept that there was nothing that I could do to help my body heal. So I researched different alternative treatments, and I came across a woman named Amy Rao. She wrote Body Belief, The Egg Quality Diet, and a few other books. I read her books and I started doing the egg quality diet, which is based on AIP. I experienced some really amazing benefits. When I was first diagnosed with POI, I had gained a lot of weight. I was having some long cycles and some short cycles, and my health was not great overall, obviously. So when I did the egg quality diet / AIP, I lost all of that weight. I also got my hormones back on track. My cycle started to be sort of like a rock solid 26 to 28 days. Also, my skin cleared up, and my period pain went away, and my energy levels also went way up, and I stopped having so much brain fog as well. And these are just a few of the benefits that I personally experienced from the AIP diet. It's really incredible and brought down the inflammation in my body so much. I have my iPad here with my notes so that I touch on everything. I apologize for looking at my iPad, but this is just going to help me make sure that I touch on everything. So I will link the Egg Quality Diet book in the description if you would like to follow that. It's really great. She gives you a comprehensive diet plan, which is really helpful. And if you are personally struggling with POI, or if you have some kind of issues with fertility, I would highly recommend checking out Amy Rao. So AIP, what is AIP exactly? AIP is a diet designed for those with an autoimmune disorder to identify their food-based triggers for inflammation. And how do you go about doing AIP? You eliminate certain foods that can potentially cause inflammation or trigger autoimmune symptoms. And those foods include gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, corn, grains, nuts and seeds, nightshades, eggs, food additives and chemicals, coffee, refined sugars, processed foods, vegetable and seed oils, and alcohol. So you basically eliminate these foods for 30 to 90 days or until your symptoms go away. And if you go for 90 days and you're still having symptoms, then there's probably something else going on. Beyond what you're eliminating, you're focusing on wild-caught seafood, grass-fed meats, vegetables, but all vegetables besides nightshades, and it's best if they're organic, fruits, and also it's best if those are organic, ghee, avocado oil, tallow, coconut oil, and olive oil. So while you're on AIP, you really don't want to overdo sugar. So you want to eat high sugar fruits in moderation, and ideally keeping the added sugar to a very bare minimum. And also worth noting, the point of this diet is not to lose weight. It's about your health. It's about creating vibrant health. Once your symptoms are gone, you're going to start reintroducing foods. And you're going to do this one ingredient at a time. So, for example, when you're doing the elimination phase, you're eliminating whole groups like nuts and seeds. You're not going to reintroduce all nuts and seeds. You're going to do it nut by nut, seed by seed, ingredient by ingredient, so you can 100% identify which foods are triggering your symptoms. For example, you would do almonds or peanuts or chia seeds or sesame seeds. And so you do the reintroductions by eating a small portion of the food and waiting a couple of hours. And if after a couple of hours you don't have an immediate reaction, you can eat a larger portion of this food, and then you will wait 2 to 3 days to make sure you don't have what's called a delayed reaction. If you don't have a delayed reaction, then you can go ahead and reintroduce that food. Why do an elimination diet like this? I've heard from both traditional and alternative healthcare professionals, food sensitivity testing is not accurate or reliable. And so an elimination diet is really the only way to know what foods your body is intolerant to. Now let's go ahead and jump into my tips and tricks for the AIP diet. I like to keep a journal of my symptoms and revisit it every so often, weekly, most likely weekly. This allows me to see what's improving. So anything that you're experiencing, from dry lips to red bumps, to anything as big as psoriasis or acne or anything, brain fog, you put these things on your list of symptoms, and then you'll revisit that every week and see what you still have and what you don't. Another tip I have is to add collagen and coconut milk to your morning tea. That helps to start your day off with fat and protein, and to not spike your blood sugar first thing in the morning. So caffeine on an empty stomach can tend to spike your blood sugar, so that's why adding fat and protein can kind of help to curb that. And while on AIP you're not allowed to have coffee, you can still have tea, so you are still allowed to have caffeine in moderation. My tip number 3 is get a good bone broth protein powder. That's really going to save you. You can add a bone broth protein powder to morning smoothies, to afternoon smoothies, to soups. It's a really great way to get in extra protein. You just really want to make sure it doesn't have any additives or anything that's not AIP compliant. I can link the one that I use in the description for you guys. And then my next tip is you can make sweet potato toast from sweet potatoes, and that acts as a great base for toppings like mashed avocado. You just thinly slice sweet potato, and then you put it in the oven until it becomes like a toast. You can look up a ton of recipes online. Sorry about my dog here. This is Freya. Okay, my next tip is coconut yogurt. You can get really good additive-free coconut yogurts, and those are a really good quick breakfast, and then you can add like collagen peptides to them. That way you're starting your day off with some protein, and it's really good. I like Kalina, Coco June, and GT's coconut yogurt. Just make sure again that there are no additives. I like to use coconut milk in place of regular dairy milk, and I use canned coconut milk and make sure that there are no additives in it. And then I also like to add both fat and protein to my smoothie. I use again coconut milk or half an avocado, and then you can use collagen peptides or bone broth protein powder, and that will help dampen the glucose spike of the smoothie. Another tip is to consume bone broth regularly if that's something that you can have. Bone broth is really great while you're trying to heal your gut. It's well tolerated by most people, and it's packed with vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. I like to make my own bone broth. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I have a reel in which I show you how I make my own bone broth. And for the next tip, sweet potatoes are one of the few sources of starchy carbs on AIP. So make sure you explore different varieties. If you're not a fan of one variety of sweet potato, you might like another. But also if you just really don't like sweet potatoes, then there's also butternut squash. And if you really miss potatoes, because you're eliminating potatoes in AIP, my best tip is to try either taro or yucca. Those are two really great options to replace potatoes. Taro tastes almost exactly like potatoes, and it's pretty readily available in supermarkets. You can cut it up, parboil it, and then put it in the oven to make like oven roasted potatoes, and you can also make like mashed taro, and it's very similar to mashed potatoes. Another option is yucca. It's cassava, also known as cassava. It's quite a bit different than potatoes, but it's really good. It's a really good option. I've only tried it parboiled and then oven roasted, but it was really nice like that. My next tip is to use a cassava flour if you want to make something like fried chicken or fried fish. Cassava flour is really amazing for those purposes. And I also use it to make AIP friendly pancakes. If you're doing Amy Raupp's egg quality diet, she doesn't make you eliminate eggs altogether. She just has you eliminate the egg whites. So you can use egg yolks as a binder if you're doing like a fried chicken or a fried fish, and that's really amazing. My next tip is just to look at recipes online. Heal Me Delicious is a really good resource. There are so many recipes out there, and you really don't have to feel like you're depriving yourself at all. There are so many amazing recipes, and yes, you have to cook a lot. It's not a diet on which you are going to feel deprived at all. My next tip is to batch cook. Batch cook as much as possible. Make extra portions. When you're cooking the night before, make extra so that you have lunch the next day. And you can always freeze extra portions and stick them in the oven later on to heat them up. So if you're short on time, making extra portions whenever you cook. Next tip, if you're eating out, just make sure you address seed oils with the server. In the US, we definitely have a lack of transparency in the ingredients in our food at restaurants unless you ask. So make sure you just, I understand not wanting to feel like the difficult one, but you just need to make peace with that and just be okay with asking for what you need. So just make sure that the restaurant is cooking your food in olive oil or some other fat that is allowed on the AIP diet. Seed oils are an absolute no-no, and they cause so much inflammation in the body. Another tip for eating at restaurants: if you can't find a dish that's AIP compliant, order sides. It's a great hack at restaurants. For my last tip about travel, it's basically the same as with restaurants. Just make sure that your food's not being cooked in seed oils, and order sides if needed. And then I also like to bring my own snacks that I know are AIP compliant. Right now, the snacks that I really like are Chomps, the sea salt beef sticks, and Lesser Evil paleo puffs. Those are really good too. And also, when I'm traveling, I bring collagen peptide packets and bone broth packets. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this video was helpful. If it was, I would really appreciate it if you'd give it a like. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I post a lot about my journey with POI. I do health vlogs about the alternative treatments that I'm seeking and how I'm going about trying to heal my body. I'm also going to be posting more about the AIP diet and just my lifestyle in general. Again, I went from a doctor telling me that my ovaries were going to shut down within 6 months to a year, to having a rock solid period every 26 to 28 days. And I'm now 2 years post diagnosis and post being told that my ovaries were shutting down. So I'm going to leave a link to my story here if you want to watch that. I go into great detail about it, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.